I've always been intrigued by the relationship of the physical object in relationship to its context. How much space does a work need? Who is it for? The dreaded question of why is it there at all? My relationship with making sculpture has to be adventurous, almost on the edge of being beyond my control. I don't think I'm an artist who has a subject in my head at the outset of the work. I'm just continuously trying to find that. I like to use chance to allow accidents or mistakes to become part of what I'm doing. I like the idea of work being very impractical and very illogical, and not a nice, tidy thing that comes out of a box. I find a work that's bigger than myself can provide a very exciting adventure. Brilliant. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you. I like the sort of ship in the bottle idea, that the work expands in the space despite all the restrictions that accompany it. My grandmother had a cupboard under her stairs, and I can remember vividly she kept every single thing that could be reused, like candles of various lengths, along with rubber bands, lid tops, jars. Everything was of value. I've been using the same materials for about 50 years. The sort of mixing up of industrial materials with more domestic materials. I think it's, for me, a question of observing things that are to hand and are familiar. Taking the ordinary and seeing it as extraordinary. It is a kind of still life. You can see these things almost anywhere, these kind of semi-abandoned objects. Nature is constantly changing, going through its process of regeneration and decay, and so is the urban environment. For me, something that is in decline, but which will also have the potential to be repaired within my work. That's a very real process as well. I think I might have been 6 or 7, or maybe even younger. But my father used to take us on drives through the East End. He seemed to have a fascination with the destruction, the bombing of the East End, and wanted to show it to us children. Maybe as a kind of message about the devastation that war creates. For me, that was a very strong experience. These are my big bad books of sculpture from the mid-20th century. I find them fascinating because of the post-war brutality of it all and the fearlessness of making quite clumsy, awkward, ugly forms. And those forms having incredible intensity. I have a very limited repertoire, but it crops up in many different ways. I was looking at drawings I'd done in the 60s the other day, and there it was. The ramp, the barrier, the tower, the window, the folded shape, the flattened shape, all the things that intrigue me. There they were, that far back. I think a lot of them come from landscape and the relationship between interior space and exterior space being quite folded. an exterior space being quite expansive. Domestic space is quite enclosed, quite charged in many ways, potentially highly emotional in terms of what domestic space contains, everything from great love, family and closeness, and yet there's also the opposite. Enormous frustration of maybe feeling boxed in and imprisoned. Those atmospheres are something that I'm intrigued by. Fabian's always been enormously supportive.
I think the fact that we're both artists and we've both taught, and our lives were very equal in a way. Yeah, well, we had 2.5 children when we came here, and then 2.5 arrived after that.
That's all of them together.
We'd met at Chelsea Art School. We were both students there. Phyllida was in sculpture and I was in painting.
When I was 19, on my second day at the Slade, one of my tutors, a male tutor, was a very successful artist at the time. He came to me and said, I won't be talking to you very much because by the time you're 30, you will be having babies and making jam. And I just managed to say, what's wrong with that? Of course, he couldn't answer that. But that was the sort of chilling reminder that this was a male domain, and girls were very privileged to be allowed into it. What happens to that huge number of women who are at art school? And what does capitalism offer in terms of being an artist if you don't get a gallery or if you've got children? All the usual laments that we can make as women about trying to have two conflicting parts of one's life in tandem. I wasn't sort of thinking, this is a feminist cause, I'm going to have 5 children. It was chaotic. There's no doubt about it, you know. Within family life, there's always guilt, there's always struggles, there's always being pushed and pulled. It's a work at its most vulnerable, and therefore I'm at my most vulnerable. I need some kind of breathing space to do things that maybe are clunky, unresolved, not good-looking, to understand the breadth of what I want to do. With the larger works, and when I'm directing the assistants, it's excruciating because you're offering your recipes, which you've got to hand over and let go at the same time. They're not me, so there's a very directorial role in that.
You all right?
Are you okay? I think that's better.
Yep.
Like that, actually, yeah.
Just mark that in red. Oh, no, not in red. I don't like the red. Green.
Can you? Oh.
Stand up. Keep going, just.
It needs to be even more, doesn't it? Yeah. I meant it's where it's sitting on the horizontal. Yes. Yeah, that. Up again. Yeah, that's great. Most sculpture that calls itself large is actually quite modest. You know, it's within a certain range of human experience. Going beyond that range, you go into sort of phenomenal sizes and distances and time factors. Nothing is as large as nature. Sculpture may want to emulate that, but it can never be that. Its desire to compete with nature is futile. Therefore, there has to be some other way of translating the world around. Or I have to find some other way to translate those extraordinary experiences.
Morning.
Morning. I think the role of the artist is to be able to present their own interpretation and their own personal response to the world around, which might be, as it is in my case, a very small world. You know, it's family, it's the studio. It is a small experience in comparison to so much else. How I'm reacting to the world around, I think, is often to do with emotively charged things. I don't think I have a ready-made subject that I can proclaim. The subject is hard won through the processes of making. I'm intrigued by those kind of everyday phenomena of things being on the verge of breaking down, both physically breaking or spreading or leaking, and literally in a human sense. the actions and incidents of how things collapse and deteriorate and become repaired are great metaphors for the human condition.